All right, so now we come to the synthesis part, right? Synthesis means actually we integrated findings, what we have found in all the sections. So all earlier tabs, gave us kind of a separate evidences, right? Separate findings, separate, you know, related to different kind of dimensions, right? So density, centrality, maturation, environmental movement, and likewise. So synthesis, in the synthesis part, all of them connect. I mean, all of them have the chance to connect, right? Connect those piece by piece into one single argument, a solid argument about our study area, right? So it answers actually what do all these pieces, right? What all these pieces mean together, what the all these analyses mean together in the planning perspective, right? So this section actually also is directly connected with issues and potential, which is we are going to discuss next, right? So each finding links to a specific issue node, right? We're going to discuss about this one later, right? So here we're going to start with the key argument, right? So our story actually related with these main key arguments. There are six, right? So first one is Shannon profile, right? Or the maturation actually. Yeah, maturation. So throughout the interpretation is not gonna take a long time, right? So the basic interpretation is Shannon is a stronger maturation signal, right? So it measures, like we discussed in the urban maturation section, it measures mix directly. So UMI, or the maturation index, is still useful, but access and diversity pull it down, right? As well as, the implication here is actually we can use Shannon maps first when briefing decision makers, right? Shannon first, and when it comes to briefing decision maker, we can use UMI as kind of a, backup, not a backup, I mean as a support material, right? So this tells us actually Mount Lavinia has some land use mix, but it is not yet kind of, functionally mature as a kind of a whole, right? So the second one is access diversity uh, issue. I mean, issue mean actually, UMI value does not mean kind of there is no mix, right? Shannon entropy actually shows more mix than daily access and diversity actually deliver, right? Hope you can remember. So the implication here is actually if we could add some, reachable shops, services, as well as mixed live work environment uses, live work environment along main corridors, that would be great, right? So actually our study area kind of has kind of a partial mix, right? Partial mix, as well as, at the same time partial mix, but everyday accessibility is kind of a weak, right? People cannot easily reach what they need on foot. That's the case actually. Residential areas are so many residential areas, but the commercial centers are kind of, with the accessibility wise, it's kind of a there's a big gap, right? Um, and the third one is central corridors. It means actually central maps. We showed that they showed that actually our study area, I mean Mount Lavinia, mainly the Mount Lavinia junction actually, and the Gold Road has the highest movement pathways, right? Segments. So yet we know that urban maturation index accessibility average is only about kind of a very low value, right? 0 point value, I guess. I mean 0 point value. More precisely, I could say, uh, uh, yeah, 0.13, right? So interpretation is actually being on a kind of a very busy corridor is not the same as where major access, right? I mean, heat as well as crowding problems and tourism resident friction concentrate on the most central streets, right? So the implication is actually if we could put some comfortable environment for the pedestrians, put shade, sidewalks, and cooling, canopy cover or something. First, on high bittiness and closeness links, that would be great when it comes to a surrounding environment of a certain junction, right? So most of the actually important streets actually carry the most pressure, but they are not yet kind of well served for pedestrians as well as for the residents, right? Fourth one is heat stress actually. um, we saw that approximately 90% of cells are kind of hot, I mean strong heat access. So yeah, so strong heat stress, and 10% or something likewise, they are very strong, right? So actually outdoor heat is kind of a area wide issue, right? Not just few hotspot in the map. So if you could treat outdoor heat as a kind of a you know broad wise, I mean corridor scale design constraint, especially for the Wall Road as well as main junctions along that, right? So what this tells us actually, Mount Linear is walking environment, right? Pedestrian environment is kind of a thermally very harsh for the residents, um, as well as when it comes to outdoor advance. I mean, tourists, let's say, yeah, very harsh environment. So, fifth one is actually identity mismatch. This means actually, um, you know, within the same land, there are tourists, former residents, like I said before, luxury tourism happening and fisher flow share, same coastal space. More precisely, I would say same unzoned coastal space, right? So the related pressures include, tourism characters are changing, privatization of the lands, and the weak social ties between people. So actually, the spatial conflict is very clearly we can see it, right? Not only the you know um, not only the actually the attitude wise, right? So it's happening on the spatial ground, and these these completeness, right, is very clearly visible. So we use zoning regulations or something related to mitigate or control the current situation, right? If we use clear zoning to separate tourism, residential, and fishing claims on the coastal edge, that would be really impactful for the future, right? And this last one is actually uh, on the same area, on the same study area boundary, right? We can see both Shannon as well as UMI and then UTCI and identity mismatch, right? So the maturation is kind of in a kind of incompletely condition, right? Incompletely status. So this layout actually absorbs, tourism and climate stress very poorly, right? It means it can handle it right now because there's actually a research paper called Butler's Tourism TLC, Tourism, I mean, life cycle. They said that Mount Lavinia is in its stagnation stage, right? It means simply it has become to a kind of a static state, right? Not developing uh, likewise. So here the thing is actually if we could run one coordinate program, right? So upgrade land use mix, outdoor comfort, and coastal zoning, proper coastal zoning together, right? That will be the, I mean, solution we can get for the consideration of future existence of the current land, right? So what this tells us actually, Maulavanian is kind of integrated planning approach, right? Not separate sector wise. We can fix this. It's kind of a this is a multi-dimensional issue. So that's it, right? So here you can see the relations graph, right? So there are 16 nodes. So why 16 nodes? You can see the all findings are here, right? All the findings we have, they are actually related to these key under key. If we expand these key arguments, 6 key arguments, we could find 16 main sub findings, right? So once you click something, you can see automatically highlight and what are the connected ones. See, if we planning, must, couple, climate and zoning, here you can see the connected ones. See, implication as well as these are the amplifiers, right? So these are the amplifiers. So these are the issues and potentials we can identify, right? So this is the evidence. If you want to see, okay, so this is what they are saying, but I couldn't remember the values or something, you can simply uh, put click one of them and see direct to the main page. I mean the related page, right? So that's it actually. These are the relationship. Not you can toggle on off actually what do you need to, I mean what do you want to see, right? Let's say I just want to see about something related to shadow only, so you can see these nodes, right? I just want to see density related nodes. Okay, so you can see the density related nodes. So that's the uh, again it's kind of a linked menu for the previous tabs, these 5 tabs. And yeah, that's it about the uh, synthesis page, right?